Welcome, everyone, to That Kingsville Podcast. It's late May 2021. I still have Steve Ianson and Kevin Black with me. Woo. Thanks for joining us, folks. It looks like society might finally get back to normal. We got some vaccination rates. There's a plan. Who knows? Fingers crossed.
It's chugging along.
Chugging along. We got some council news tonight. We got some special guests coming up later. So just want to give our sponsor a shout out. Thank you again, Kingsville Brewery, for sponsoring That Kingsville Podcast. Kingsville Brewery features refreshing premium beers, perfect for having a couple of pints with your pals. Crafted with natural, clean ingredients, their award-winning beer is available at select...
Wait, stop. Can you read it to Mark?
I can.
Oh my God.
Like while staring lovingly in his eyes.
Well, I gotta
read. Should we introduce Mark first? That Mark's here.
It's like a shameless plug.
Well, no.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, we can't because I feel like when you're reading this, I mean, you're really like.
Yeah, I'm pouring it out.
You're pouring it out.
I'm gonna go get my hat.
You go
a picture without a hat.
Oh, Steve left. Steve's gone.
Steve's gone.
Are we? Steve, we're live. This is all Stan.
100%.
No, yeah. Oh yeah. Is it really? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, go get your hat, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have special guests in the studio tonight from Kingsville Brewery, Mr. Mark Muzzin.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. Oh, say more than just...
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it, guys. We really enjoy what you're doing with the podcast, and it's a pleasure to be a part of it.
Well, we thank you for sponsoring That Kingsville Podcast. Your Kingsville Brewery features refreshing premium beers, perfect for having a couple of pints with your pals. I'm saying it with loving eyes. Crafted with natural, clean ingredients, their award-winning beer is available at select LCBO, beer stores, and grocery stores. Go online to the website, kingsvillebrewery.com, to order takeout from the tap house or beer delivered for free in Essex County. Cheers to the everyday adventure. Thank you, Mark and Kingsville Brewery. Woo! It's been refreshing. Does quench the thirst quite well. Got me through COVID last year. Your 2 for $90 promo. Put at least a good solid 25 on the midsection here, but you know what? Something to look forward to working off this year.
So you guys are too kind.
Thank you. So council news. So council last Tuesday, there was a holiday, Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? No, it was last night.
It was yesterday.
It's yesterday.
Yeah.
They introduced our new deputy treasurer, Margaret Schrader, however you want to pronounce that. They heard a presentation from Windsor Essex Community Benefits Coalition, which proposed developing a community benefits plan for Highway Number 3's expansion. So I'd be curious to see what that was in the meeting minutes. So interesting. They also approved a couple of slightly controversial things. First being a standalone bylaw for parking of RVs and recreational vehicles on private property to store. So they've loosened those restrictions a little bit.
Which is the opposite of what everyone that was really angry thought it meant.
Yeah, everybody thought that it was just going to be further restrictions, but in turn it actually loosened the restrictions. So rest easy, folks. Park your boat on your property. It's cool. Just do it within the rules.
Yeah, just don't leave your trailer unattended on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Please don't do that. Somebody could hit it. It's just not good.
Or I might just hook up to it. And
Exactly.
Then it's my trailer.
New boat. And finally, this is something special to someone here within the podcast. Town Council has approved a new train for Lakeside Park and the Fantasy of Lights, among other things.
Fantastic.
Congratulations, Stephen.
Oh, not me.
Well, it's your thing. You drove it around.
Well, I did, yeah. But I'm glad to see council's finally on track with this.
Or they just listened to you. Oh, God.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Thank you.
You practiced that.
But, no, and this is really good news because it's been a real draw at Fantasy of Lights for a number of years now. And not last year because it didn't run, but the previous couple of years, there'd been some significant mechanical issues. And the train that they had basically ran its course. And
the history of that train was really interesting. I had no idea where it came from.
Well, it was just an old old Kubota engine.
Yeah, it was an old
retrofitted by the town.
The high school students in shop class.
Shop class did it.
Okay, so the
shop class built it from an old bus and a riding lawnmower engine, and they cobbled it together, and then that was, the train that was taking all of our beautiful children around.
And then they had a naming contest, and the name, the Fantasy Express, was entered by a class from Division Road Preschool, which my daughter was a part of.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Chuggy McChugface wasn't.
There we
go.
Apparently not.
Lost out. Yeah.
But I mean, I always made the case that beyond Fantasy of Lights, this train was utilized in so many other ways. It was in every parade that the town hosted, whether it was Migration Festival or the Apple Festival. But then I think it was a couple of years ago, they used it to ferry people around town who were, I think, was part of Tourism Windsor, Essex, Pelee Islands visit.
Yep. We used it at the Highland Games too, if I remember. Or was it Highland? No, it was
maybe Folk Festival.
Folk
for
Festival,
shuttling?
I believe there was some. Okay. Yeah, and there was another where it was shuttling people from satellite parking lots that we had at Excess. I want to say that was Highland Games.
Right.
It was something.
And the real push for me came after what happened a couple of years ago, and I made this pitch at Fantasy of Lights a couple of times, but basically what happened was the engine overheated. I couldn't run the train. I couldn't drive the train that night, and I had the carriages full. And we're talking families who were some were from out of town visiting their parents in town kind of thing, and they had their kids with them. Some had come from Windsor, and I had to be the one as a volunteer to turn around and say, "I'm sorry, folks, we can't run the train tonight." And that's well, it is. I mean, it's hard when it's a lot of fun being a volunteer, but it's hard when you're the volunteer who has to simply turn around and
break hearts.
Break hearts. See the sad faces
Crush
on these kids.
Dreams.
And I will say that the people who, I mean, everyone was pretty much understanding, and the train rides are free, and you got hot chocolate and cookies, which were donated by local businesses, but those were free, or you can make a donation. So after we turned around, my wife Tammy and I were working that night and said the train couldn't run. We said, if anyone wishes to take back their donation, we understand. And I think there was maybe one person who said that, and I'm not knocking that one person. I'm praising everyone who said, no, you know what, we understand.
You're praising everyone but that one person.
Yeah.
Well,
can we
there's another way to put it.
Can we call all the other people that just left their donations? Because council only approved 50% of the cost. The other 50 is through fundraising.
Yeah,
right.
Which I love. I love it when municipalities ask people to fundraise.
But it's just like, hey, take it out of that pocket, and now take it out of that pocket.
Right, it's awesome.
I believe, though, the full cost of the train, half of it is already covered through sponsorships.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the capital cost is,
$80,000.
Yeah.
That's the overall capital.
Yeah.
Right. So I believe
$80,000, or a third of a pickleball court,
or a Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay, and we can, we could break this down in a million ways of where that money could go.
but it's
at
going
the end
to
of
an
the
electric chain. Damn it.
That draws all kinds of people to the community.
Now, I thought, because it seems like such a great thing, I would be a bit of a downer. And, kind of point out how
the villain.
They sort of named a specific company instead of putting it out to public RFP as per their procedural and procurement bylaws. However, I did text Nelson, Mr. Santos, Mayor Santos,
who's on last episode,
name drop, to find out. Can you single source something that's $80,000? Because I got something to sell you if you can. And apparently they are putting it out to selected bidders. So the town is approaching people to give them the opportunity to bid on it. They can come back with the best price.
So what Kevin's saying is Lee Maria's now has an electric train division out in the greenhouse.
And so if anyone else is in the market for, $80,000 electric train, trackless train.
It's going to do the county deliveries for all the produce boxes.
Well, now, so Mayor Santos messaged back and said, hey, do you think Liam Marias would be interested in sponsorship? Like, hey, if I can get it and drive it around the town in the summertime, then maybe we can talk about it.
Yeah, but if you look at it too, at the Fantasy Lights, you're not paying the drivers, you're not paying any of the volunteers, you're not paying for any of the refreshments, and any of the donations come back in, go right back into Fantasy Lights.
Hey, do you think
so
we could get like a studio car? I'm sorry, Steve. I'm sorry, Steve.
You gotta quit cutting them off.
All right, I'll stop. Go ahead, Steve.
I'm good.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. I lost my train of thought.
Oh.
Did you do that on purpose?
No,
He did it on purpose.
I didn't do that one on purpose. That one was general annoyance.
To summarize the sentiment, Steve, it is a great initiative. And, the sticker shock is kind of like, holy shit, or holy crap, $80,000. But when you break it down to brass tacks, it's a multi-use item that encourages tourism, has community value, and isn't single purpose. So, yes, we have the Fantasy Lights, which a few years ago was rated one of the best winter festivals in Ontario.
In Canada, didn't we?
Was it Canada?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I think we got a national award
So
for
it's-
Communities in Bloom or something like that.
Right. It's for things like that, right? Without the Fantasy Lights and the train, there isn't the whole event. So unfortunately, over the last few years, us in COVID land, we haven't been able to have that. So I'm excited to see what this Tesla train looks like. Or maybe it is. Maybe it's just a Model S that, has a whole bunch of train cars behind it and whatever.
You
But
drive it with an iPad.
let's hope the batteries don't die. And it's sorry, kids, we can't take you around. We're on a third of a charge. It'll only get from here to the bridge. Sorry.
Can we get a podcast studio car?
Podcast studio car. I think we should, Steve.
We could.
Gary, I don't know how remote you are.
Could we not do a live broadcast from the train?
We darn well could.
Oh, I think we could.
At least the gazebo. At least the gazebo. I have, and breaking news, I have applied for us to do live broadcasts at Open Streets this year, folks.
Speaking of,
Open Streets.
how about that committee?
How about that disbanded committee? As far
So what?
we're done.
So what's the deal? Because I didn't see final recommendations.
Here's the deal. We are pretty much in summary. It's a town-run event from 4:30 to 10:30 Saturdays, as soon as the conditions will allow us. So depending on whenever we enter, phases, colors, zones, eras of reopening this time around. I can't remember what it is, stage, whatever. As soon as that stage we reach vaccination amounts that allow us to convene, that is the plan. As soon as that also reaches the point at which where we can have performances, the Folk Fest, South Shore Community Folk Fest is going to be doing performances down there as well. All Kingsville vendors or businesses are encouraged to apply through a website. It's kingsville.ca/openstreets. There's an application process. You got to prove insurance. And then from there, receive the information from the town when we reach that point, and then we can open the streets or close the streets and have everybody down there. But again, been a town event this time around, not a BIA solo. So it's anybody within the Kingsville proper. The whole town of, Ruthven, Cottam, Kingsville.
Also last night, they decided to come up with a recommendation for the restructuring of police services boards.
Ooh.
Now that could not be more boring sounding. However, right? But what it boils down to is instead of a committee of Kingsville Council being in charge of the operations of the Kingsville OPP, they're going to be expanding it so that there's two boards for the OPP across the county, one for the north and one for the south. The north would be Lakeshore, Tecumseh, and possibly part of Essex. The south would be Kingsville, Leamington, Pelee Island, a representative from the Caldwell First Nation, and possibly part of Essex. And they haven't decided how Essex is going to be split up.
Again, further splitting of that poor
That poor town.
That
poor town.
They're further divided.
So it's sorry, Steve, again.
No, you were going.
The report says that the reason they want to do it is because the two areas of the county really have different needs, but the north has similar needs because they're a bedroom community. In the south, it's more migrant worker and tourism needs than what the North faces. So they think this is the best way to go about it. It will mean less representation for the town of Kingsville, but the thought is that it will help govern what's happening with police forces. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot to it other than the realization that what's happening with the OPP isn't directly impacted by decisions by your council and appointees on the board.
I guess it's going to be interesting to see which route Leamington take then in the future with their police service. Or is this...
That's done.
Yeah, was it $3 million that Windsor Police Services was exceeding their budgetary number?
Yeah.
So they went with OPB again.
Okay. I did not know that.
They're back.
That's
just last
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, at least no one's copping out on this one.
There we go. So thanks again to our special guest, Mark Muzzin, and Mark's cousin Marty from the Sioux, who used to play hockey down in the States. Thanks for joining us on the podcast tonight, gentlemen. Apparently we got some things to discuss. You guys own a brewery in town.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah, Kingsville Brewery, one of the three we got in town. Can you just explain how this started? What caused you to open a brewery in Kingsville?
Well, Mark, first of all, thanks for having us on. Family affair. Mark's the cousin that one I wanted to hang around more. Just we were young kids, knew each other, but ever since he left full time for Windsor, just got to see him sparingly, and what's just didn't seem fair. So it's really good to get reunited. The first time I was in Kingsville. Was with the great late Brian Heaton. I had lunch with him during my college days. Getting ready to go over to Harrow to the Heaton plant and make goalie equipment for the next season while I was at Michigan. So it's a special place to Mark. It's certainly a special place to me in my career. Got to hang with an amazing human being, an icon for the goaltending people, and the fact that Isabella and Mark grew up in the area, and they're the butchers of Kingsville. Mm-hmm. The experience they have there, just one thing led to another many years ago, and we decided to use the name Kingsville itself. So it's definitely a special place for both of us. I just wish I could get up there a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely the pandemic's been keeping you from town, but you got your cousin here who's taking care of things while you've been out of town. So I know that.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of got the tap.
I told him to say that.
He's holding it down for you, Marty, while you're not here. But you got the tap house up and running just a few months right before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So, it's got to be difficult to launch a business, especially, beyond the product that you were canning and retailing, and then have brick and mortar. So how's it been? How have you found it?
Well, I'll tell you, I think it was a blessing, to be honest with you, to not have any experience as an owner of a restaurant and have the opportunity to be open for a month and a half or so and get a chance to just reset and figure out what worked, what didn't work. It gave us an opportunity to hone all of that in. And the town of Kingsville is great. We have such a great population base here that supports the downtown and supports the restaurants and bars that exist in the downtown, and everybody else for that matter in the downtown area, in the town itself. And we've got a lot of tourists that come from all over Essex County and even beyond Michigan that can't come now these days. But it's a great place to operate a business. And like I said, I think we were very fortunate to have that reset, to slow down and see what worked and what didn't work and hone it all in, and hopefully be back open again fully in a month, 2 months if things go the way that they should.
Has Mark, has the pandemic for some of the local business, not talking about some of the wider spread work that Kingsville Brewery obviously does, but locally I would think it's had a bit of an impact, and you can see how you've really tried to rework and reimagine what Kingsville Brewery is locally.
Yeah, learning to pivot was a huge thing at the beginning of the pandemic, and looking around our warehouse down on Park Street at a pile of beer that we had destined for somewhere else, and say, what are we going to do with all this beer? And it became, I think, our best marketing initiative ever was to offer the home delivery, that we did right at first. That was pretty quickly. We got into that right away. We didn't really wait too long to make that decision and got it out to, as you guys know, to deliver it to the people around here and put it in their hands. And driving down the street in the morning, delivering beer at 9 o'clock in the morning and seeing people sitting in their front lawns,
It's a whole new world.
Yeah, drinking beer first thing in the morning, and people get real excited when you pull up in a van full of beer that you're delivering to them.
The marketing of the brand is what sells it the most. Like everything from the logo to the cans to the product that you're offering, right? You follow the social media. I know Marty's down in Texas, so has the brand Marty, is it really taken off in your area down in Dallas as much as it has kind of locally here?
I wouldn't say taken off, but we really haven't put any oomph behind it because, we don't have any beers we can make with our facility just opening. It's hard to get to, and, we just haven't come to market yet. Here, we are selling. We've been in over 200 places. That's just been word of mouth and/or friendly fire from the people that I know. I've lived here for 21 years, all but 2 of it. And so, we're just kind of putting that plan together of how to get the market, what it's going to entail, how many people. I didn't have anybody working for Kingsville down here until recently. And, even then we got a lot of work to do, but sky's the limit, with a lot of hard work, some smart intelligence, continued great beers and good packaging, making tweaks here and there, and learning this environment as well. You got to think, there's different laws, different rules, different ways to get the beers in people's hands in the United States, and in particular Texas. So we got a few things to work out, but it's been a lot of fun. Finally having some street cred down here is paying off a little bit, but I think that the best is well far in front of us. So I'm pretty excited to finally have a game plan, get some good people working for Kingsville like we do have up in Ontario. I continue to have some good team members, but it's been fun. But it's a lot on my plate at the moment, but been learning and getting the nose bloodied every now and then. Just want to get back up and get back after it with surrounding myself with good people.
Hey Marty, when you're dealing with the alcohol distributors down there, are you dealing with the actual mafia, or does it just seem like you're dealing with the mafia?
These ones are really smart. So you got lobbyists on their side. So
sounds pretty organized.
I don't know who's worse, Ontario or Texas or United States or Canada, but let's just say that there's problems on both sides of the border.
Hey, Marty, thanks for doing this. You guys really were able to take advantage of the feature beer night at Little Caesars Arena. And I was just wondering if you were able to use your hockey ties to promote the beer and the product throughout other arenas in the States and across Canada and across the country in general.
Well, to be honest, I wouldn't say we got our beer featured. In Detroit. It was the only place we were selling it at the time. We were fortunate enough to get it sold in Little Caesars Arena and a few bars that, Mark had set up for us. So that was great. Featured, no. We never put $1 of marketing or staff-wise into Michigan. So that'll all come. I'm not sure what else Mark has told you, but we're only distributing in Michigan, which we haven't sold anything recently in Texas. So, and even at American Airlines Center, where I work for the Dallas Stars, we're at 2 spots. It was just only during this pandemic, short in the hockey season, where you weren't allowed to drink unless you're sitting down. So haven't had much fanfare across the board from the hockey side of things. It is something that we're going to use to our advantage at some point. Yeah, sure. I think relationships are key in all business stuff, but we don't think this is just a hockey venture. We don't think it's a baseball venture or just sports in general. There's a lot of people who watch sports and play sports, drink beer. Well, yeah, so it'll feel like that a little bit, but Mark and I've got grander plans than just than just that, but you got to take care of the close-knit relationships that you have and the opportunities that you're presented with in order to get out there to everybody that, might like sports or not. So we'll kind of, the canvas is still pretty blank from my perspective, and utilizing every advantage we have. We're going to try to do so, but also at the same time, there's a lot of other big brands that are associated with sports teams and hockey teams and arenas. It's probably harder than most might imagine.
Yeah, no, I understood. So while we're kind of focusing on hockey here, we're wondering if we could maybe pick your brain and Mark's brain too, and just have a quick chat about the playoffs that are underway, who maybe you guys like coming out of each division, and maybe an underdog, although, the teams are dropping pretty quick lately. So I guess if we look at the Canadian division, is there anyone that, I guess maybe of the three teams, two realistically have a chance?
Edmonton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they're out.
No, they're gone.
They're out. Oh.
They're gone.
Yes. And Dave's our non-hockey guy,
Yeah,
so
sorry.
he'll throw a few things your way too. But I guess we'll start there, maybe Toronto or Winnipeg. Gentlemen.
Well, Mark hates Toronto, so
Mark's a smart guy.
Montreal's still playing, so you got one of the best goalies ever, and certainly right now Carey Price could steal some games. Toronto does look good; they got a great lineup. I still think they're going to come out and beat Winnipeg, although Winnipeg's been tried, true, and tested in terms of chemistry. The lineup has not changed too much. They got rid of what they thought was some dead weight with Patrick Laine. He was an amazing hockey player, but winning doesn't necessarily come down to skill. Jack Campbell's been working his way up for a long time to deserve this chance. He looks great. Hellebuck's been a perennial all-star and obviously a Vezina Trophy guy recently, so it should be good. I think, they're not the best teams in the playoffs, in my opinion, so it'll be good for a Canadian team to get into the Final Four of the playoffs, and we'll be cheering on whoever it is, just as a Canadian myself.
Mark, who do you like? Maybe Boston, or who we got? The Islanders are up, I think, 3-2 on Pittsburgh now. Who do you like out of that division?
Well, I can't vote against Sidney Crosby. He's a playoff performer. He's such a competitor. I don't love the team. Still upset about some things that back in the day that happened with them, but I think Pittsburgh's fantastic. Only if the Stars weren't there. I was only a Red Wings fan when the Stars weren't playing against them, or if they were out at that point. To be honest with you, I know Marty said I don't like the Leafs. He knows that that's true, but they got a couple players on that team that I really, really, really like, and I would love to see Jumbo Joe and Jason Spezza, obviously a former Windsor Spitfire, who've spent a lot of time in the league and done a lot of things right, and it would be great to see them get there. And Jack Campbell, what a story with him getting to where he is now, and that's just a great, gives me kind of the chills. It's a great hockey story getting that far. But they got a bunch of the oldest combination of a goal since Lidstrom and Chelios, by the way, Spezza and Thornton together there. I'd love to see. I think it'd be great for the game for either Toronto or Montreal to get to the finals. I'd be rooting for them more than anybody else. I know it kind of goes against how I was raised, but
you got to make bad decisions every once in a while.
I'd love to see the Leafs for those reasons, and I'd love to see the Habs there if it's not the Leafs, if the Habs are there. So those are the two teams that I'm going to be rooting for. To be honest with you, and everyone who knows me that's listening to this is like, did he seriously just say that out loud? But it'd be great for the sport if a Canadian team could get there, and it'd be great for the Leaf Nation. I mean, then they've been suffering. Kevin across from me with his Leafs hat on. I mean, they've been suffering since ~67, and it would be great to see them get there, especially for the couple old guys that they got on that team. It would be fantastic to see them get to final and win one.
And Marty, you would have seen a lot of Tampa, Florida, Carolina, Nashville this last season, and then previous to that probably Colorado and Vegas. Any of those teams, it's hard to pick, but
they're so good.
Anyone really stand out to you, or is it really more of a crapshoot and best team on the night wins?
Well, earlier I thought we were just talking Canadian divisions at first, but I'll give it to you straight up. Colorado's the favorite by far. Yeah. They're a great team. I think the Vegas will come through, and that'll be a decent series. Probably not as good as we want it to be. So, Colorado's going to come out of there. And then Boston's going to be a tough one to beat, but, I think the Islanders are going to skate by the Penguins and then create a little bit better series than probably most people give them credit for. I'm not surprised. I still think the Islanders are going to get through that division. And then the other one's a tough one. I mean, I did get to see Carolina and the Florida teams a lot this year, and I mean, they've been there, done that. Tampa Bay, they're probably going to take down their in-state rivals in this first round, in my guesstimation. And these Hurricanes, even though it's been really tight and been a lot of overtime, I think they're going to get through. And I even think they're going to, if this goalie can play as good as he has for the last half of the season in Carolina, I just think maybe Tampa Bay's magic runs out there, and then Carolina takes the division in the playoffs. So there'll be a heck of a Final Four no matter what. You just need timely scoring and some great saves and a little bit of luck. And right now it's been a good playoff so far, and I kind of hear it on in the background right now. I think it's been a Pittsburgh Islanders have a good game going as we are talking. So we'll see what happens there. But it's good to see fans back in the stands in the United States. They're almost full capacity. Things are a little bit different down here, so hopefully you guys can see the light and get back at it.
Hoping so.
Hey, Marty, speaking of fans, I wanted to ask, I know you have some history playing some hockey in the States. So when as a goalie, when there's no fans in the stands behind you at all, is that a benefit for a lot of these goalies, or is that hurting them? Because I would think it'd be a little bit more difficult to kind of get geared up for the game, but at the same time, there's no distraction to really pull you out of it either, right?
I have not played with no fans since I was probably 12 years old. I don't know.
That's a big deal.
I don't know what that's like, to be honest with you. I guess teach their own, man. I relish the fact of having fans, loving you, hating you, cheering you, not giving a shit about you. But I'll tell you, it certainly makes for a better game with fans there from a TV perspective, and being in a dead building is not much fun. So there's nothing like Stanley Cup playoffs. You guys know that. I don't care if it's in Carolina, you're watching the Surge, or you're in Toronto, where it's a hockey mecca. It's the greatest tournament ever, and it should be shared with people and fans. And so hopefully, the Canadian team that makes it the farthest their fans get to come watch. So I really don't know if it's an advantage or not, seeing the puck and being able to focus at the NHL level. Those guys aren't there by accident. So fans or not, I don't think it really matters. Some people like it, some don't. That shouldn't really matter at the end of the day.
Alrighty. Well, unless does anyone have a consensus final Stanley Cup pick here? Does anyone want to take a shot at this, or should we kind of...
The Hartford Whalers.
Oh, my God.
There he is.
The Hartford Whalers.
No, Ed Belfour is no longer in the league.
Yeah, but Ron Hextall is.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
As a general manager.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, I think, Marty, we certainly appreciate the time. We're always happy to have representatives on of our wonderful, generous sponsors, and having you and Mark here has been great. So thank you for joining us tonight, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for having us. Enjoyed Mark's time. I missed the guy. I haven't seen him in a long time, so I'm jealous. You guys enjoy him. Hopefully you get a good make two for a long weekend, and we'll chat with you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks,
boys.
There's been a lot of talk, and obviously the people have seen some renderings, some videos, lots of excitement about what's going to be going on down there at the waterfront. COVID delays everything. So what's the progress down there? Is it just COVID delays? Is there some reimagining of what that space will be? What's kind of the status of what's going on there?
That's kind of a two-pronged question, or a two-pronged answer to your question, Kevin. Thank you. It's a great question. I get asked a lot about what we're doing. When are you going to open up down there? When are you going to open up down there?
Curious.
So, our director of brewing operations, our brewmaster, Derek Billacrelli, has been doing a great job at finalizing getting all the equipment in there for us to make beer in-house here in Kingsville, which we have not done on a big scale yet. We've only made beer at the tap house on a small level. Some test batches that we were doing when we were allowed to be open. So Derek's done a fantastic job of getting that done, and it's almost done. So as far as brewing, we've got a 30 barrel system down there. So it's a significant size. So we'll be able to do make quite a bit of beer in that building. And as far as it wasn't COVID that really slowed anything down. We kind of changed plans early on, dealing with some construction issues and some, it's an old tobacco building that was built in the 20s. So the amount of fireproofing that would have been required to allow us to have people inside it caused us to kind of rethink it. And that's why we owned the building next to the butcher shop. That's now the tap house. And that's kind of changed our perspective. We were looking to rent that out to someone else. And we said, why don't we just put the tap house / retail store there on Main Street and be part of the Main Street crowd. Causes its own set of challenges to be in two different locations, both in the same town, of course, but that's why the renderings and the plan that we had in the beginning didn't come to fruition at that point. So there's still a plan in the future to develop that property down there. Do we have something exciting that we're planning for this summer that I won't say because I don't want to over promise and under deliver. But keep your eyes peeled. If you see it starting to happen, then you'll know.
You gonna debut it on Open Street?
No, that'll be just me, Main Street. And by the way, about that, I think the town's doing it right this year by allowing it to be a little more open to. It's such a conundrum, by the way, open streets when they're closing the streets.
Sorry, what else?
It always gets me.
Half the streets are closed in Kingsville right now anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it's really great that they're going to be allowing people that aren't brick and mortar right on Main Street to be involved with that. That's the way it should have been in the first place. I think it'll be great. But no, what I'm talking about is down on Park Street, and when you see it happening outside, then you'll know that it's been approved and everything will work out, and hopefully that happens this summer sometime, because this is a great spot. I don't want to take away from our spot downtown, but it's great overlooking the harbor, the fishing boats.
Yeah, when the renderings all came out, we all got really excited.
Oh, yeah.
Because 30 years of living here in Kingsville, it's like, hey, we really want to see something down on the waterfront, and the different projects and the
that's still in the works. That's
great.
Never left our thought process. Like I said, owning that building on Main Street allows us the flexibility to move over to Park Street if we can make that happen, which is just some logistical stuff. We want to start brewing there first, get that going, start the brewing process going in there, and going from there.
What about any new wide-scale flavors coming out? Anything you guys are working on?
Yeah, you know what, the interesting thing through the pandemic is that we got our distilling license through the pandemic. Kind of fast-tracked that, allowed us the ability to do that. And we brought, as Marty was saying about Brian Heaton, we brought Marshall on, and Marshall's going to be doing our distilling.
Well, hey.
So he's part of the team now.
Hit here first.
Marshall Heaton, of course.
Excitement is brewing.
Nice. Nothing... We're sticking to the staples until we're in full control of our production, and when we do have full control of production, then Derek will he'll shine with his off flavor beers, the one-offs and the lighter fuse series, and he's really good at what he does, and I'm excited to see him grow the portfolio of the beers. Yeah.
We have like a little competition between all of us that drink it. It's like, what is the most popular flavor of Kingsville beer? Is it Light A, or is it the Czech, or is it the IPA? Because those are the three that everybody that I talk to, it's one of those three for the most popular.
But the Light A sells more than the rest. I think the Czech lager makes the most noise, though. I think that the Czech style lager is it's a more traditional.
It's personal favorite.
Nice. It's the one we had our weekly meeting actually this week. We were talking about sales in Texas, and it's the one that's catching the most traction.
Yeah.
And the Light A is to satisfy people that want a nice crisp cold beer that they can drink a whole bunch of, and that was the point of making that. And we've taken some flack for making such a standard couple of beers. But that's Derek had an understanding, and to make beers that are drinkable, and that's why the Czech style lager, a Hefeweizen, which is a traditional wheat beer, a light lager, and so 2 different lagers, and a really easygoing IPA, a middle of the road kind of East Coast, little West Coast in between IPA that's a little heavier on the alcohol, but lighter on the IBUs, less bitter, not so hoppy, 44 IBUs.
Sorry, we won't quote you. You're not reading it.
Who's gonna know?
You're fine.
So and the Hefe is probably the biggest one for the LCBO. It moves the most in the LCBO at the moment.
Yeah, it's exciting to see like Kingsville products outside of the area.
Yeah.
Like I know I got friends all over. Well, I've got friends all over the continent. That anytime they go and see vegetables from Kingsville or Leamington, they go, I saw some cucumbers. I know where you're from. So it's exciting to hear that the brand is not just in our town, that it's starting to expand into Michigan, and obviously with your cousin Marty Turco. Again, thanks Marty for joining us on the podcast. We were having a little fun, but if it's spreading the word about Kingsville, that's tourism just vicariously through a brand.
I love the town. I mean, we're really lucky to live where we live. All the problems that we have are not as big as we think they are sometimes. We're really lucky to live in a place like this where you can go to farm markets and you can buy fresh produce on the road.
Like Lee and Maria's.
Oh my God.
Free plug.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. I mean,
that was a free plug from Kingsville Brewery that gave you one of their plugs.
Love it.
Yeah.
We're trading plugs.
Hey,
plugs everywhere.
You know what? You live in a great town when one of the major contentious issues is whether or not to buy the electric train.
Yeah.
If that's a problem,
and
then,
too many people wanting to move here.
Right.
But we have to give Mark credit too, because he got introduced to Kingsville at a relatively young age. I mean, he is a former Kingsville Comet.
Oh yes. Love those days.
So he's getting all the credit for being, a wonderful and awesome brewery owner and restaurant owner and butcher owner. But he's
some years ago.
Yeah.
And I met Steve back then. He covered the Comets back then, and he was giving me a hard time back then too.
No, let's not. No.
Wouldn't be Steve without it.
Part of the golden generation, if you will, of Comet teams.
I don't think anyone won more games than our 97 team. I think we still have I don't think we won 27
Could
games.
be. It was a stretch about from 96, 97 to about 2000 where they were really on the cusp. And
that first year, that 97 year, that was the toughest team in the league. By the way, we had both Mayran brothers. Oh my God, we got into a lot of trouble.
Matt Rive.
Matt Rive. I think the next year after Matt left the team, they didn't let anybody wear number 20 because of the amount of penalties that he got. The new kid wearing it in training camp was just getting called for penalties, even though it wasn't. They just thought it was Matt Rive still.
Scott Wojcik.
No, we had some tough teams, and we were really well coached. And that was a great time. Dave Wiper and Richard Ropshin. Wiper's still around, and he was. They were great people to play for. It was a great time. I loved the people in town then. We had a whole bunch of Kingsville kids on the team, and so we saw going around to house parties and whatnot, and met a whole bunch of Kingsvillians, and I fell in love with the town back then. It's ironic that I ended up back here.
It kind of sucks you.
Full circle.
8 years later, 8 years after my last year, I ended up living here, which is crazy.
I think maybe you were gone. Just quick question, going back to the comments real quick. I mean, were you part of that team that I'll never forget? They won the first round, and then they were up 2-0 in the second round against Wallaceburg. And if they were going to win, okay, that was that year.
The last year that I played, we went 7 games against Essex. I tore my ACL in my right knee in game 2, missed 3, 4, 5, and 6. Came back, played in game 7, had 2 assists. And I remember Dave Wiper looking at me saying, "You are nuts." And my dad was leaving Windsor for the game. My dad's like, "You're never going to walk again." Like, I cannot believe that we went.
You guys won game 7, didn't you?
No, and we lost that game 7 in Essex. It was the last game I ever played in junior hockey, and Essex went on to win the Ontarios. And we took them to 7 games, and they steamrolled the rest of the province. We had a great team.
Good memories.
Yeah, great team, great memories. Yeah.
The fact that we had Marty Turco on, and he played for Team Canada in the 2006 Olympics, so we talked more about Kingsville Comets. Is exactly what you should expect at That Kingsville Podcast.
He's a former NHL goalie for the Dallas Stars.
Well, he'll be around a lot more. He loves the town. He's been here a bunch, and he really loves the town, loves the golf course. He's an avid golfer.
We'll have him back to talk about him more.
He'll be around. And
maybe not Mark, but we'll have Marty back.
Yeah,
possibly.
Bring him on.
I think that actually says a lot about the town, right?
Yeah.
You have people that aren't born here. I wasn't born here either. I moved here when I was a young teenager. You're not from here, Kevin.
I wasn't born here.
Yeah, you're not from here, but we all have this unified passion. Sorry,
Gary
was born here. He was the first one born in Kingsville with, the guy that named the town. But we all have the same appreciation. Were you? Was it that? It was.
I'm pretty sure Glass Ave is named after Gary.
But we all have this unified appreciation for what Kingsville is, and it's not one thing that you can label. It's the whole entire atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I think that Kingsville more so is that unified community rather than the physical things. Those physical things are like the nice things that we can point to about why we like Kingsville, but it's the general community. We have a very wide-ranging age groups that interact together.
Absolutely.
We have businesses as corporate citizens, right?
Well, Kevin and I also, through our businesses, belong to an organization. Can I say?
Yeah, of course.
Eat, Drink, Dine Kingsville. That I've got restaurateur friends in Windsor and abroad, Detroit and whatnot, and they hear what we do. That we get together as a group of like-minded restaurants and farm markets and butcher shops, and we talk about strategy, about bringing people to town. And they're like, come on, you guys actually get along with each other and to help each other. It's all about the town, know. And
when we were working on the EDDK website back, this was 2 years ago, I want to say. Part of the committee and what we did and was do some research, and so I sat down, did a deep dive on trying to find all the different organizations that were similar to what EDDK did. So basically, we could steal ideas from their websites. Mm-hmm. And they don't exist.
No.
They're like, there's nowhere is like it. There are restaurant associations, but it's specifically restaurants. They're specific, like they're paid. They're like, they operate like corporations. They aren't just a group, a not-for-profit organization that just gets together so that when it's not COVID, you can have a couple drinks and talk about, what's going on. It's a group of people that get together to,
with the common goal of bringing people to Kingsville.
Exactly.
Bringing people in to eat and dine and enjoy everything else that happens in town. See that the shops and
even the entrepreneurs, though, your personalities within town. Everybody knows that, Kingsville
there's some characters.
Yeah, but we know who you are because you're present in town, right? Everybody from Heather and Troy and Trevor and down Ernie even, right? Like
Vern.
Yeah. Like everybody sees Vern, right? We're unique, and even the ones that are outstretching, going out towards Lee Maria's, right? The Kath and sisters.
Well, the thing is, you said, a lot of the businesses, you say the owner's first name, and you know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, whether it's a hair salon or a flower shop. Yeah. I mean, it's
Jody's place or right.
Yeah.
Yes,
like we.
That means something.
Right.
It does.
And I think that's the underlying sentiment about why people get so upset when things in their interpretation threaten Kingsville.
Yeah.
Right. And really, it's not the sentiment that is the reason why we like Kingsville. Yes, if buildings go up, it changes the way things look, but Kingsville is still the people in the core and the interpretation about why we're here.
It's just missing a newspaper.
It is. Thanks, Steve. And on that note, I want to thank again Mark Muzzin from Kingsville Brewery and his cousin Marty Turco for joining us in tonight's episode. We really appreciate the sponsorship. Again, go to kingsvillebrewery.com. You can order takeout from the tap house, or you can have beer delivered for free in Essex County. Again, cheers to the everyday adventure. I want to remind everyone, please subscribe. I'm asking you to do something for us. Not just listen, you have to subscribe. I've been omitting this detail. This is why we're not 55th in the list. So subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or iHeartRadio for free. There's Amazon Music, Stitcher, Spotify, Deezer, those are pay sites, or wherever you download your podcasts. Please subscribe. We want to turn this into like a real paying side gig so we don't have to go to our regular 9-to-5s eventually.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Thanks again to Gary Glass for production. We'll see you guys next time.